So we're doing this series called Not So Undercover, and I this week have invited Matt Shepard to come up here and be part of this series with me. So first of all, a lot of band parents here at Meridian or students may recognize this face, or you may be a little confused by seeing this side of Matt. So I'm asking Matt to turn around quick. This is more the side you're used to seeing. So this is Matt Shepard. Are you push that up? No, you should be. We did that on purpose. You have no words today. Do we want to grab this other one? Here. Try that one while they figure that out.
Hello? Nope. Well, this is fun.
Yeah, this was.
Do both. Whoa.
All right. You're in stereo
Hey.
now.
Hello? Hello? Hello.
There, we'll go with that one. Okay. Now we'll try this again.
All right.
So the entire idea behind this sermon series is Not So Undercover, is the idea of how you show people Christ in your everyday life. And Matt was one of the ones that I asked about this for a multitude of different reasons, but one was because obviously I respect Matt on many, many different levels through our friendship, through many different things. Not only, he has all the accolades that you could ever, 3-time Grammy finalist, what did you say, Country Music Award, the list goes on his professional attributes, his, accolades, whatever, but getting the real side of Matt Shepard and seeing that side and seeing his heart and watching it over the years, and then now with my kids, has been an amazing attribute of how he shows Christ every day. And I want to share some of that, and I want to share part of who he is, and hopefully share that wisdom of how we can show Christ throughout every day, how we can show and demonstrate Christ in a unique and amazing way. The first time I met Matt I was actually interviewing for a job, so I can thank him for that. He was on the interview committee, and I had known of Matt through multiple other sources and people like friends of friends, and I'd heard stories, and I knew he had a very dry sense of humor and a little sarcastic, so you're going to probably see a little bit of that today. But as I sat there, and the interview was all different types of people in the room, and I shared with him, even like, I'm looking at Matt, here's somebody about my age, let me, and so I was asked at the end, do you have any questions for us? And I said, yeah, why did you guys choose to be on this interview committee? And they go around, and I get all these serious, stuffy answers, right? And then it gets to Matt as one of the final, and he goes, well, I have 3 boys, as you know, and I've messed them up pretty bad, and I need somebody to fix them for me. Straight-faced, and I'm like, shoot, is he serious? What?
Very serious.
Very serious. I feel like I've done my best. Keegan, I'm working. It's a struggle, but
it's a slow burn. It's a slow
burn. But we're getting there with them, and but really he is the type of guy that truly invests in so many people, so many community within his own kids. Going through this before we go on to some Bible verse, tell us. Most people know, Matt Shepard, the band director, Matt Shepard, the coach, Matt Shepard, all these different titles. If there's a nutshell of who you are, I don't want to say tell something nobody knows, or just tell us a little bit of who you see yourself and what you want to be or inspire to be.
Well, first of all, I was told that if you get nervous in front of a group, you're supposed to picture everybody in your underwear, which is weird because none of you belong in my underwear, so I won't do that. But
it begins. I was waiting for the first joke.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it would be. So.
Or me, and never mind. So me in a nutshell, it would have to be a pretty big shell, about 6'2" or so. But if I was in a nutshell, I would say that I am someone that enjoys using humor, although my wife will tell you that I'm not funny. But I enjoy using humor to help make connections with people. I think that one of the things that me as a person really enjoys is developing relationships. and getting to know people. And through those relationships, that helps me find those characteristics in others that I think are admirable and things that I would want them to realize about themselves.
And obviously, well, in my opinion, you do very, very well at that. I want to jump in because it was interesting to me, and as we talked, and I asked, share a couple verses that mean something to you, and normally we've been doing that a little bit later in the service, but I put these very first because I want you to go through these verses and tell us a little bit about why you picked it and what it means to you on those attributes of who you are. So if you want to read them too, unless you want me to read them for you.
Well, I'm going to see if I can read them from here.
I can read. I'll read them if you can.
That's fine. All right. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms.
So that's 1 Peter 4:10. What kind of jumped out to you, or why? I mean, I know you shared a couple different parts of that, but what jumped out to you? I mean, obviously your gifts that you bring, I respect very much. But what for you is that daily reminder when you read that part in 1 Peter?
I think for me what sticks out is whatever gift you've received, use it to serve others. It's easy to say this is something that you're good at and now I'm going to use it for my own gain. But I like, especially as a teacher, I feel that one of my callings is to use it to help other people. So for me, I see that as a teacher, as a coach, somebody who can take whatever talents you may have in whatever career you may have and use that to make the people around you better people.
Good. The second one that you shared with me was Philippians 2:3 and 4, which I thought was one that we've shared a little bit and a lot of people have landed on. But also you have a little bit of a different twist on that one. So if you want to read and kind of share a little bit of your heart on that one.
Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. So this is very similar to the other one that I was talking about. I think using whatever it is that you excel at or you have a passion for, using that to put others above yourself. So maybe taking a back seat and allowing them to take that light to be in the spotlight. I think working with people on a daily basis like I have the opportunity to do, I have that opportunity to, if I wanted to, take that step forward and say, look what we did, look what I did. I personally hate the word I. I believe I'm a big believer of we. It's what we're doing, and I think that within my classroom or within the athletic field, whatever it is that we're competing in, allowing other people to have their opportunity to take the spotlight and shine.
That's something I've noticed, obviously, as I've got to see you now in the professional with my daughter playing in the band with you. Getting choked up already, no.
She's not that bad. You don't need to get choked up.
Thanks to you, she's really good. She's gotten a lot better. So, but one of the things that I guess I would just question that I have for you, and putting you on the spot here, because when you shared this one that I thought of is sitting in band concerts, hearing you publicly speak, that entire idea that you just said about you hate the word I, because you could easily stand up here and, again, 3-time Grammy finalist, CMA award, all of this stuff, educator award, all of these different things that you could easily stand up and say, look at me, look at me, look at me. And every time you reflect that back to say, we, or thank you, thanking the parents, like for the community, like you always push that back to the audience and the community and those people. Is that something intentional, or is it just come out? Does that make sense?
Oh, it does make sense. I don't know. I guess it's not intentional. I guess it's not intentional. I know that there I go using I, which I don't like, but it is known that without this body of people, this community, without the students, without other colleagues that you're working with, there's very little that you can do by yourself. And to say, oh, look, there's the winner of this. No, without those people that have bought into the program, without the community that's invested their time, without the resources that have been given, it's impossible for one person to do anything by themselves. So is it intentional? I guess, but it's not something that I think about. I think it's just kind of become who we are as a community.
And I think that, to me, is the win, right? As even taking that into our workplace, but taking that into our Christian faith, when it just happens naturally, how much more beautiful that is, right? Like when that just comes out, where people just see Christ in us and see that, and we're not doing it intentionally. We're not going, thinking it's not premeditated or it's not whatever. It just comes out of us. That's the beauty. That's the beauty in our Christian walk, when it can become that, where it just oozes out of us, right? Sweats out of us, whatever, however you want to put.
Oozes bothers me a little bit.
Oozes bothers you a little bit?
We could maybe. I can sweat, but I'd rather not ooze.
Okay. Well, some of us ooze, others just sweat. I don't know which one I am, but I have a feeling. So there's one more verse that you shared with me, was Matthew 5:14 through 16, if you want to go on to that one.
All right. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. I think for me, this is one of those, if there's something that you can do, it's your responsibility to do it. I have a saying that I use with my students in my classroom: if you can, you must. If there's something that you can do, it's your obligation, your responsibility to do that. Whether it's something as simple as seeing a piece of trash and picking it up and just being a good person, or seeing someone that's sitting by themselves at lunch and going over and talking with them, developing that type of relationship, or helping somebody that's struggling. I think to put it under a bowl, to put your light under a bowl, is keeping it for yourself, and really what you need to be doing is lighting up others around you.
No, and that's so beautiful. And I think part of, obviously, like I've already mentioned, I respect you as, most importantly, as a friend, but as a coach, as a teacher, all of these things, putting that out there. And that's one of the most difficult things, because as we as Christians, and it feels like every week we talk about this in this series, is we as Christians, we walk into this and we put ourselves out there, and it's super scary. Because once you put that out there and realize that how I'm acting, how I'm behaving, people are seeing Christ in that, is a beautiful thing, but it's also a scary thing, because what if I let them down? What if I fail them?
When you let them down.
Yes, exactly.
Because you will.
Because I will, right? Exactly. When we let them down, and how they can see the beauty in that, and they can, and hopefully see God in that, and see the mistakes that I make as I'm human, I messed up. But it's a very tough thing, because I guarantee as many successes you have, there's moments that keep you up at night, of failures, of moments that you failed somebody, and you didn't show them the best of you, and most definitely didn't show them Christ in that situation, which is, I'm sure, like any human, if we're being honest, that just resonates within us.
Absolutely. It's impossible to be able to please every person, and it's impossible to please yourself all the time as well. We all make those mistakes, for sure. I've made more than my fair share, and I'm avoiding eye contact with my wife because she's got a long list already for me that...
She's been typing over there on her phone. I thought she was taking notes, but
stenographer over there.
Oh, you're texting me? Oh, okay. Even better. We'll pull that out.
This is the same person that said we dressed like perfect dads today, too.
Yes,
so,
yes. Which I think we did. We pulled that off really
Never
well.
know when you're going to break out into a game of golf. You always got to be prepared.
So one of the things that as we talked and as we went through, and I thought was very amazing in hearing your heart, was you went through 4 different things that make you up on who you are. And as we've already laughed about, the joke kind of writes themselves, because I referred to it as the 4 Ps and the 4 words that start with P. And we have had already jokes all this morning about the 5th.
There will be a 5th if I get really nervous.
Like, yeah, so that's, there's
think about that. Yeah, think about that.
There's also many jokes about remember Matt and the P that he did, and yeah, so we're just going to lean right into that and go into them. But the 4 things that you talked about is that you look for in working with students and coaching and teaching, and the first P that we're going to land on is potential. So share a little bit about the potential and how you use that.
Well, I think the potential is really obvious in the line of work that I get to do as a cross country and as a track coach. It's very easy to see potential in other people. It's actually very easy to see potential in people that don't believe they have potential too, because no matter where you start, there's going to be improvement. Whether you're the fastest or can run the longest or jump the highest, it's always easy to look for those types of things that maybe they don't see in themselves, but something you can help them with. In the music world, potential is also very easy because when they come to me as beginners, they literally maybe know how to open the case. That's about it. And those that have been to choir concerts, band and orchestra concerts before, you know that first song that they sing or play for the first time is not always the most pleasant sound in the world either.
It's far from it. Let's going through it. Let's not even. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I've joked that it might be called hot cross buns, but it really sounds like cats in the microwave. That's kind of that first, but you love on them and you keep working with them, and they eventually continue to grow both as people, but also as students or athletes.
So in the potential, right? Like, and I think that's the key. Is and I'm taking it back to we as Christians and living out this world, seeing the potential in people. And I laugh because in both circumstances, you said it's easy to see the potential, and I look at that and I laugh because I'm like, I have no idea. Like with my own kids, like when Isabel went through band, I remember having a conversation and you're like, oh, she's a clarinet player, and I was like, oh, okay, because like her finger, like what? And you're like, no, and listed all this stuff. And when Jackson was going back and forth in band, your text to me was, well, if he wants to do it, he's a trumpet player. He has every personality. Like it's, you see those things, and those are not, I think that's the tough part we see is you see things that people don't see. And you say it's easy, but how do we get to a spot where we see that potential? I mean, I can't imagine, and I'm putting you on the spot here with this, but I can't imagine something as easy as, well, just do it, but understanding, picking up traits, picking up different parts, like other than it's just easy, is it trained because of the years of it? Does that make sense where I'm going with that? Or like, I want you to expound a little bit more on the potential part, because I think you downplayed it like, oh yeah, everybody, I mean, because right, everybody has potential in their faith, but it's not as easy to see that potential.
I think that the more you get to know any person, the more you start to see characteristics in those people. And because of knowing that little bit about those people, you're able to see opportunities that maybe they don't see. And I had a situation not too long ago where a former student met with me, and I was sharing with her some of the things that, like, I just don't understand when people say this about me, this, or this. And it wasn't negative or positive. It was just, I don't see this in myself. And she said, well, yeah, obviously, there's obviously again, this happened and this happened and this happened. And yes, I lived that life, and I that was happening to me firsthand, but I didn't see it that way because I was looking through my eyes. But somebody on the outside looking at me was able to see, oh, well, you did this and you did that, and then this happened, and therefore this is the next step. So I think all of us as people, as we develop these relationships with family members or friends or coworkers or students, friends, whatever it might be, you start to see that in other people, and you see those good qualities in those people.
Oh, thank you for, yeah, and right, like, because like for me, I could never do it in the track world. I could never do it. Because you have
track is easy, run faster. That's anybody could coach track, run faster.
Yeah, it's just that simple.
Turn left.
But right, like because you have that experience, and I think having that experience helps feed the potential. And hearing you say that, it's the years of doing it where we see that potential. In youth ministry, I could see potential in people. Now as a pastor, you see potential in people because you have those years of experience. And as a Christian, as a follower, we need to have that experience to go, hey, you can get through this. Let me show you what God's done for me. And that potential adds to that. The second P for us is practice. So expound a little bit on the practice part.
Well, I think with practice, you want to model the best traits that you find in those people. I like using the analogy of being a mirror so that when people see me, they're seeing something in themselves. And this is with my younger students especially, being able to find those maybe middle school students that are generally down on themselves. It's a very tough time in life, and they don't think they have a lot of self-worth, and being able to find those characteristics in those people, and then just to be a model of that, to be a mirror of that. Maybe they're just very generous with their time, so you try and show them that, or they're very kind to other people, so you try to be that model for them so they can start to see their own characteristics, their own qualities in what I'm doing.
So I kind of had a flashback when we were going through these. Conversation years ago I had with you was I explained my experience with band, which I made it through senior year. I enjoyed band. We have so many parts that we could break down of that, but I enjoyed being in band. But one of the things I hated was practice charts. And I don't know if you remember this conversation. I said I hated them because you had to sit there. And I remember playing trombone, and my parents would only sign on my practice chart if they heard my trombone playing. And my dad would have a little stopwatch timer. So I'd lay in my bed, and I had this practice chart maneuver down where I could lay with a pillow in the perfect spot, and I could just make noises out of my trombone so I could get my practice chart done. In that conversation at one point you said to me, that's why I don't do practice charts. I'd rather inspire them to want to practice to be better. And I think that's part of that, understanding that practice has a purpose behind it, right? Like we're not just going through this because, yes, I played my trombone for a half an hour every night, but I didn't really get any better. Hence why I still don't know how to read music, and if you handed me a trombone to this day, I couldn't play it anymore, right? Because I wasn't practicing for the right reasons. And I think there's so much more in that, is understanding that, of practicing with a purpose and mirroring that, because seeing you wanting to be better and seeing them want to be better is the part of practice. Just like track, cross country, if you go into it with, okay, I'm just going to jog around that, it's not going to get any better.
The purpose of practice is to develop good habits. So whatever it is you're doing, whether it's practicing at work, always, I don't have a very good analogy, but whatever it is you may do, by doing it over and over and over, you're either developing a good habit or a bad habit, but you're developing a habit.
So me laying on my bed with a pillow was not a very good practice.
You practiced bad habits, yes.
Yes. But
and
if
your
you want me to
sign for it every week.
Every week they signed off on it. Thanks, Mom and Dad. The third P for us is patience. And I think this is something that you excel at. Of all of these, you're great at. But understanding how patience goes into this entire part.
I do not excel at patience in waiting for things that I'm trying to do. But I think knowing that we all grow at different speeds, we all are ready to learn at different speeds, we all reach different points in our life where we're finally committed to something, that's where I think the patience that I try to exercise every day comes into play. With someone who's new at something, it's going to take a long time before they can develop those habits to become good at something. In my daily patience, I probably don't do very well in that. I can get easily frustrated with things, but for some reason, when I'm working with a group of people, that's a lot easier for me to do with the patience. So, do I excel at patience? Perhaps, but again, there's somebody back there that will tell you that I'm probably not the most patient person in the world either. Between the hours of 8 to 5, I'm fairly patient.
And I think one of the parts that you said in our conversation and then reiterated that really hit home for me was understanding that kids aren't quite there yet, and understanding the patience that. And I think that's a key that I take into my Christian walk, is understanding that there's somebody that may not just be ready yet, but it doesn't mean I give up on them. To have the patience to wait and to walk through that and go, you know what, I'm still, there's people that I've invested and I've shared Christ with, and I've shared this multiple times even in front of this church, that it's been a beautiful success story of, like, they've found God, they've grown, they've done all this stuff. And there's people that I've invested in and talked to about God who 20 years later they're in the exact same spot they were. And almost that ability that I want to give up, and understanding that I need to have that patience and to see them through a different eyes. And I think that's the beautiful part in that you're sharing is having that patience. Yes, we're not the greatest when we're around our wives, and we don't have the biggest patience when our kids do stuff. I know Keegan's perfect, but I know you were talking about your other boys on some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lost cause, I think.
I'm getting like so many stare downs. So our fourth P is perform. So you want to share a little bit on as they go through the potential, the practice, the patience, and then I think this one is the one that I get the most excited about because it really gets the heart of all of the blood, sweat, tears, all of the parts. You get to sit back and enjoy the perform.
Yeah, the perform is actually the part that people say, well, aren't you nervous about that? And at this point, everything that you've put into it is what's actually coming out, whether it's a performance at an athletic event or at a concert or something that you've been working really hard on, a project, something along that nature. At that point, everything that you've put into it, all of the practice, all of the patience, knowing your potential, that's when this one finally gets to come to fruition. Honestly, when I get the most nervous about these things, it's when I'm not in front of those people. Like at the track meet, I have no control over it at this point. So that's where I get nervous because I don't have that control anymore, and knowing that I just have to let go and trust that everything that they've put into that is going to pay off.
And that to me, right? Like let's take that on how we're doing that. The entire series again is not so undercover. The entire idea is how are we sharing God in our everyday life? How are we sharing what He's done for us? And the perform is the part where we just get to shine and show people God. The perform is the part where they see the light in you, the Matthew verse that you shared, right? Like they see that in you, and that's the beautiful part where we shouldn't be nervous because yes, we're going to let people down. We shared. We're gonna screw up. But my hope at the end of the day, when you walk away with an encounter with Matt, myself, or anybody here, they walk away and they go, wow, they have more Christ, and there's more that I can have. There's more that I'm going to lean into. There's more that I'm going to be a part of. And that performance, right, shouldn't be nerve-wracking. It should be in a part where we go, we get to show God. When we walk out these doors today, we get to show God to a lost and hurting world. We get to show what a personal relationship looks like. We get to just sit back and bask in that beautiful part of you've done the hard work, you've done those struggles, you've continued to follow Christ when you feel like you can't anymore. And there's beauty in that moment when we get past that perform.
One of the questions that John asked me like 5 minutes ago when he asked me to do this, I'm just kidding, he asked me 7 minutes ago, but and when John asked, he said, do other people know your belief that you're a Christian and in your work? And I think the best way to do that is just to model that. You don't necessarily have to say, you just need to act. And that's one of the things that I don't know if I do a great job at that or not, but I try very hard to model those behaviors that I think other people would find admirable.
And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that, sharing your heart. And my hope today is, as we went through that and you got a little taste of the true Matt Shepard, I don't want to say, like the part that we get to see in the beautiful part. My hope today is if you go home today, and if nothing else that we've shared today, if nothing else, the words of going through the potential, the practice, the perform, all of those things, my take-home point that I want you to know is if you can take a moment and truly look and say, imagine if we could see ourselves the way that God sees, what God sees in us. If we could see the potential, if we could see that, God has this an amazing ability, just like you said it's easy to see the potential in others. God has this ability that He sees a potential in each and every one of you. Imagine if we had just a taste of that potential, right? Like I've seen that with my daughter in band, and I just tell her, I'm like, listen, I laid on my bed for hours playing trombone and I didn't get good at all. You're great at clarinet. Like the potential, like I see that beauty, and I now see what Mr. Shepard saw in you as Jackson is being Jackson's cross country coach. You know, we've had conversation about that. and I didn't see the potential. Matt did, and I've told Jackson, I said multiple times, Mr. Shepherd saw potential in you, and he saw you this ability, and he brought it out of you. Like, I didn't see that, but he did. So imagine if we could have that vision like Jesus has, that we could see the potential. If we could see ourselves the way that God sees us. It's so amazing and it's so beautiful that he has this amazing story for you if we just lean into that potential and we walk through that with confidence. It's so important. And that's just our hope for you today, is that you can live in that, just that confidence that God sees so much in you. And the hope is that you just lean into that. I just ask right now if you'll pray with me as we wrap this up. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for today. We thank you for Matt just sharing his heart and the way that we see what you're doing. The way that we are showing you, God, to a lost and hurting world. Not so undercover and just in broad daylight, sharing the love of Christ in our interactions, our reactions, all of who we are. And God, I ask that you just be with us. Today as we're struggling, today there may be people that are here that are just going, I get it, but I don't see the potential. God, give us a glimpse of the potential you see in us. Those that are struggling and they just are so nervous that they're going to let you down or let others down, God. Give them the confidence. Give them the ability to walk through those hills and those valleys. Give us the confidence to grow. Give us the patience when we just don't have any patience anymore. To say, God, I know you have this coming. Just be with me and walk through this valley. God, be with us as we continue to be more like you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.